welcome back, and with Andrew Stewart from Pacific Finance. We're actually talking about how much information we should give to lenders, and you talked about the two different types of products. One thing I think that I was a little bit surprised that different lenders have different appetites what they're going to lend on. But Andrew, you were saying within them, and say we're talking about the low doc loan, which has a huge advantage for the small business owner, they've got different low doc loan products as well.
Yeah. I think one thing that I'd really like to, there's a small list of hints which I really think that the listener would be, and the small business owner would be well to heed and take notice of them. And that's to make sure that as much as possible they manage themselves to fit inside this ability to pre-qualify for the low doc route.
Yeah.
Because it just gives many more options. And the first one is to make sure that they don't bounce any checks or bounce any direct debits off their account.
Yeah.
Many times clients they might have, the financial controller might be, the spouse or someone that's doing it part-time, and they might not be managing closely the cash flow and forgetting that, the car payment's coming out on the 21st and I forgot to do that today. They'll do it tomorrow, but by that stage the bank's tried to withdraw the direct debit,
and then
so it looks like it comes as a failure on the bank statement, and that's a negative. So always make sure that there is enough money in the accounts and that it doesn't fall into overdrawn.
Right.
Another one is just to make sure that they maintain good records. So if you want to come in for that urgent Hilux, Michael, have you got your management accounts for last month? No, Andrew. I haven't, but Michael, that was 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I need them to do this today. I need those up to date. Well, let me go away, Andrew, and fix them up.
Yeah.
Right. So maintaining good records is
right.
Is a really another good point.
So when you say that, someone popping into you, they're really bringing in what are you looking for? Are you looking just for their cash flow statements, or are you looking for their profit and loss order?
It does vary, and there is a minimal amount of a checklist, I suppose, of documents that we'd look for, and at the time, I can give them that list.
Yeah.
It's probably the easiest way to go about it, but it's all those things that you would naturally have at your fingertips anyway, like your management accounts.
Yeah.
One thing that I might also ask you for is your ATO statement.
Oh yeah.
So your integrated client account, or where your BAS reports to.
Yeah.
So that's just so that the financier can see that you're up to date with all your taxes, and that the ATO is not going to come knocking at your door
so up to date with your taxes.
Yeah, up to date with your taxes. That's right. One thing to do, probably, if you're looking for something to do and you're really desperate for something to do, because it's not such a pleasant task, really, is looking at your credit file.
Okay. And
just making sure that no one that you've had a previous altercation with, or even if your rates notice, you moved house and your rates notice went to the old address, and there's a record of your non-payment. Yeah. Even though you might have made it back up, it still might be sitting on your credit file.
So how does somebody who's not in your world check their credit file?
I can give you the address, the web address, but you could just go to there's a number of credit reporting agencies online.
Okay.
If you just type in search my credit file into your web browser, it'll come up.
Oh, really?
And Equifax is one that we use often. So that's
is there a charge for that?
Minimal. Some do it for free, but they're probably not quite as good at reports.
Yeah. Okay.
So you approximately $30 or $40 gets you your report.
Okay.
So it's a small investment.
Yes.
Into making sure that there's nothing untoward sitting on your credit file.
Okay.
Well, we can help with solving those problems, but it's generally easiest done when the client has some time and they're not under pressure.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think probably the other main point to mention in a hint for when looking for choosing which finance product is to ensure that the product or the lender that you're choosing is actually fits within your strategy. And of course, I take that for granted in the way that I look at look at clients. But
Yes.
but many people, for instance, get caught up in thinking that it's about rate. Now, if you were a property investor, you might think, oh, great, now, without using perhaps lenders' names, but I
Yeah.
can tell you an example. There's a lender which always has low mortgage rates
Yeah.
and is very attractive to go to get the loan. But their policy in the background is such that if you had rental income, they take much less of that in your ability to repay when they're checking your ability to
okay.
repay the loan.
Right.
So you kind of think you're getting a win, but next time you want to do a deal or get something done, you realise that you're actually in the wrong loan.
Yeah.
So having a strategy and selecting the right product and lender for the strategy is very important.
I know you've talked to me about that before, by having something done to you like that and not realising your ability to borrow more money or expand your portfolio suddenly gets hampered because of these conditions that you're totally, as someone who's not an expert in the field like yourself, totally unaware. I mean, you just don't know they exist.
And the other example, so that example is a residential lending example, but in a business example, your business might be growing and steadily, and the small business section of the bank might have appetite for you at that point.
Yeah.
But when you get bigger or you start expanding, you're suddenly starting to move outside their comfort zone.
Yep.
And they'll either price up the loan, price up the risk. But more so for small business owners, it's very frustrating trying to deal with a lender that doesn't understand your business or is in sync with what your goals are.
And that's a good point you've raised there, because as we do grow our businesses and we do expand, that's what we're all about. And suddenly, as you said, you've grown outside of that bank's particular appetite because they're going, oh, hold on, we don't go there. So now to counteract that or to assure themselves that they do start doing these things, and you're kind of going, why?
Yep.
But it's only because that's not the field that they work in or lend in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So unless you're dealing with a finance broker who understands that, you could really set yourself up for difficulties further down the track when you want to take the next step.
Oh, look, finance brokers are such a free kick.
Yeah.
You know, the lender is paying, is how we are remunerated.
It's the lender that actually
Yeah,
pays
so
you.
you're not paying for it. It's like you get free advice, but we're bound.
Yeah.
Our ethos is our Hippocratic oath is the clients first.
It's the clients first.
Yeah.
You know, for we're talking about the loans now, and there may be people out there, probably are business owners out there, and maybe they've got a few loans scattered here, scattered there, you know, they've taken over the years, you know, maybe guilty, and you've gone a bit here and a bit there, and they seemed all right at the time, but then you start getting into this world of going, oh, it just seems a bit messy. Someone in that position who comes to you and says, look, Andrew, this is what I've got. Is that complex for a finance broker like yourself or a freelance banker like yourself? Or is it, no, just bring them in and I can look and analyse and repackage if need be?
Yeah. There's the full spectrum of mortgage brokers, finance brokers, and some are much more experienced in looking after small business and understanding their problems than others.
Yeah.
So it's important to get good advice, and in the first place to seek advice and take advice, but also the next thing is to just make sure that you're getting it from the right knowledgeable practitioner, because there is literally hundreds of lenders potentially out there.
Yeah, wow. And one thing I do want to reiterate, and I think the advantage of dealing with someone like yourself, apart from being in a freelance banker, because you've had your own businesses, you've been through this process, probably had the frustrations like a few of the others, and gone, oh, so you actually know the finances side, but you've got the advantage of knowing what it's like on our side, on the business owner's side as well.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of tacit understanding and insight has come from the fact that I've run my own businesses.
Yeah.
It adds a lot of value to
Yeah.
the way in which I deal with the clients and understand their problems.
Yeah. And isn't one thing when it's lending, and one thing I do want to do, we'll take a short break, but one thing I want to talk about lending is I hear a lot about this self-managed super fund stuff. And borrowing so we can build that portfolio. So I thought we'd take a quick break. Will you stick around and we'll
absolutely.
talk about that?
That's good.
Brilliant. Stay tuned and we'll be right back.